Hey, good morning. It's Good Friday. It's Easter weekend. In the unorthodox world, I think a week from now is Easter from the Orthodox tradition. It's also, this week was Passover. So there's just a lot of going on that might be keeping you from coming to this meeting today. Hey, nonetheless, we record it so you can see it anytime. Today, I really want to talk to you about a critical piece of in your life, in your business, in your career, and specifically if you're running a company, which is this, is that oftentimes we find ourselves paralyzed. We find ourselves stuck by the moment. And there's two types of paralysis that I think about. One is that a crisis has occurred. Oh my God, what do I do? I can't go on, which can oftentimes lead to paralysis. And then there's the other one, which takes a little longer to recognize. Oftentimes, many people fail to recognize it. And it's what I call a general malaise. It's the same old, same old. And you begin to get into your rhythms, you begin to work. There's nothing exciting happening. It's working. And I call that also paralysis. Because in my world, what I've learned is you have to drive. You have to be a driver. You have to move forward. You have to change the speeds. Let me tell you a couple stories. Let's start with the crisis. So one day we're moving forward, everything is good. I wrested my company away from an initial founder that I bought the company from that decided to come back into me and say he decided now that he wants his shares back and he wants the company after all. And it was really interesting because it was at a moment in time when finally I had overcome so many obstacles and I looked around and things were just working. They were just working. Now, when I say working, we were still small at that time. I was still coming in every weekend and vacuuming the floor. But nonetheless, one day this guy shows up and he said, you know, I see how well you're doing. It's really looking like you're making some progress. By the way, I want to come back in. I don't like the idea that I sold you the company. And I said, well, what's the deal? You have to. You sold me the company. He said, well, look, Steve, I have money and you don't. So whether it's right or whether it's wrong, I'm going to sue you for the company. And I know you can't defend yourself. So in fact, what you're going to need to do is come up with an agreement with me to compromise before I sue you to where I can come back in the company. I'm not going to leave you with nothing, but after all, you've done something to bring this company to life and breathe air in it. It was a shock to me. And you know what? He was right. I did not have money to defend myself. I was in shock. And at that moment in time, over the next, I think, days, if not even up to a week felt like a year, I was paralyzed. The company kept going forward, but I was paralyzed. Before I tell you about the plan and what I ended up doing, I'll tell you this, that within that week, the real problem was not whether or not who owned the company. It was what I was able to give to the company. Most important, what I was able to give to the people in the company. Because as the leader in that company, not the manager, I managed every day and I did the management things I was required to do. But the leadership part of me failed miserably. I wasn't inspiring. We coincidentally had scheduled that week. That was the week of our monthly company meeting. I postponed it. I had never postponed it before. I could not lead. I could not feel inspired. I lived within my fear. And that was the worst piece that happened because of my own paralysis, which was I could not help the people through a leadership approach to move forward. So let me go over and just tell you the end of the story of the lawsuit. Well, the guy did sue me, and I didn't know what to do about it. So I went to the largest law firm in the city of Denver, the absolute largest, Holland and Hart at that time, and I asked to see an attorney that was a senior associate. Please let me speak to a senior associate, not a partner. So they didn't know why I was asking, but this guy comes out. His name was Kevin, today a great friend of mine. He came out and he said, what can I do for you? And I explained to him, I said, this is happening to me. It's a horrible situation. It's unfair. And the only reason I'm being sued is the guy's got money and he feels that he can, paralyze me. And I don't have any money. He said, well, we cost money. We're an expensive law firm. And I said, yeah, but I'd like to make a deal with you. You become a partner, don't you? When you bring corporate accounts to your, to your firm. The more you bring, the more important you are in your firm, the more valuable everything is, and over time you become a partner. He said, well, that's true. That's a part of how you become a partner here. And I said, so here's what I would like to do. I would like to promise you, I cannot pay you, but I will pay you, and we will become a great company. I promise you, we will become a great account for you. We will be one of your largest corporate accounts. He laughed. He said, well, I can't do that. Nobody's going to allow me to do that. And I said, why wouldn't you do it? Didn't you become an attorney to be able to defend people that needed defense when they were being mistreated? I have staff, I have employees, I have a lot of people whose lives are here. And if this guy comes in, forget whether he owns more than I own, he's going to be destructive to the company. He couldn't run it the first time around, and that's why I bought it from him. He said, well, let me think about this. And he laughed and kind of scoffed. And finally, he came back and he said, okay, I'll do it. I'll take that bet. And he said, I really don't believe it's going to work, but nobody's ever been as audacious as you to come and tell me this. By the way, over time, we were one of the top 20 corporate accounts for this largest law firm for corporate business west of the Mississippi River in Denver. So it worked. We resolved the problem. I eventually paid him. And over time, by the way, I was paying him hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Actually, one year was over $1 million. So he took that bet, but I realized this, is that if I live within the limits of the rules as they generally apply, I was going to lose my company. I was going to undermine everything we've done. More important than that, I was going to destroy other people's careers. And I don't feel I have the right to do that. This is not just about me. It's about everyone. So I had to be audacious. And when I couldn't think of anything else, I just did what I thought was the next right thing. Begin to do anything. And that is the rule to drive you out of paralysis. Anything is better than nothing. Something trumps anything. So that sounds a little scary, right? Well, how do you know it's going to work? I believe this. These little computers on top of our head, they can kind of predict, and they kind of are calculating the whole time. And they've taken in this brain everything that is going on. And if it feels right, if the next thing you decide to do has a gut or mental sense that I have to go do this. Just do it. Don't wait. Don't research. Don't pause. Don't do every single thing that will continue to keep you in paralysis. Move. Do something. The other type of a paralysis that is probably more prevalent is a general malaise in the company. I walk into my company every day at 6:30, 7 in the morning. I open up all of the blinds so the sun is shining in, and in our world, the mountains are showing in the background, and there is a sense of inspiration. And what I try to do is create continuous energy, not inspiration, but energy. So you have to take it upon yourself to look around and say, how do I bring energy into my organization? And whatever energy you bring in, you have to raise the bar on that energy, because people adjust to whatever that level of enjoyment is and passion, and you have to continue to raise the bar. So general malaise can be resolved as a baseline if you are confident in yourself, and if you say to yourself, look, my job is to build a passion play. My job is to build a consistent, passionate environment. My job is not to constantly make changes to disrupt everybody, make them unsure. It's their job in the company to functionally run the company. But it's my job to create the energy in the company and to bring passion to that company so that people become so engaged that they themselves begin to learn. This week on LinkedIn, I wrote a post about the idea that we have to be able to create not just energy, but decision-making approach in your company. Let me back up and tell you what I mean. If you give your people the latitude to make decisions without recrimination, and that's a big deal, and everybody is thinking, well, yeah, I can do that sometimes, but not every time, and only if people know exactly why they're making a decision. But if you can create an environment to where people feel their level of ownership within the company, consistent with the passion that you bring into the company, and you allow the people in the company that when they are faced with a decision, not just go make new decisions every day, but when they are faced, and that's the key, faced with a decision, let them make the decision. They don't need to ask anybody. Don't ask. Trust your computer. Trust that it's thinking. Trust yourself. And from my seat, trust your people. You know why? Because they are passionate. They should. That passion comes with teaching what your core values are. They should be engaged with that. Teaching what the vision is. They should know that. Teaching what the strategy is that we're using to get somewhere. But at that point, once they have that and you've engaged the passion and you continue to raise the bar on how to increase connectivity to the company, to inspire passion in each one, not just me inspiring through a certain charisma or way I say something, but anybody who comes to work, they all feel it. Let the people make the decisions, because through that ownership, the true ownership is when you trust each other. So when you trust each other and through that ownership, you will undermine the other type of crisis, which is general malaise. So these are two types of crises and what you have to do. Let's talk for a minute before we go about passion and about raising the bar. So listen, passion is not disruption. And we confuse it because me as a leader, thinks that it's all on me to create the energy in a company. And it's all on me to decide what is next. But the truth is, it's not all on me to decide what is next. It's up to all of us. And my job is to sense the opportunities that our people are and the market is creating, to not decide what to do about it, but to engage our entire team through company meetings, through discourse, discussion, one-on-ones, decision-making, ownership, to be able to be as involved as everybody else. And that will allow us to make the right choices going forward. And by the way, if they're not the right choices, then it is my job to change and to make a different choice the next day. But never make a different choice without explaining it to your organization in an honest, genuine, intentional way. So passion, the key to passion is the genuine approach you use. The key to energy is not gamesmanship. It's connectivity of your people to the vision, the strategy, and the core value that to you is inspiring and should be to everyone. So don't let yourself get into that general malaise. Don't let yourself get paralyzed when there is a crisis at hand, because you have to remember your job. Your job is to be able to, in a sense, silo your crisis and continue to do the things that you are necessary for you to do, that people depend on you for, which is to continue to provide the right fertile ground for passion, to create your passion play. Listen, I could go on and on. I don't want to waste your time. I just want to give you a snippet of things that you can learn, that I have learned over my time. And I want to wish you all happy holidays this week and next week, and let you know that I'll be thinking of you, and I'm here if you ever need something. Just reach out. You take care. Bye-bye.